Canvas is definitely the learning management system that I use the most now, but Kim covered Canvas. So I am going to run through how I used to use Google Classroom. So when I was a classroom teacher, I taught seventh grade English, and I used Google Classroom on a daily basis pre-COVID. So I wasn't in the classroom during the COVID lockdown. So a lot of my learning management experience with students was pre-COVID. So about 2016 would be the start of when I really jumped into that 2015, 2016. So I'm just going to run through a Google Classroom here and just some of my favorite features and talk a little bit about how I used to use it. And then I'm looking at the prompts here as well. Something that you're not doing. So I do, yeah. So something that I'm not doing in Google Classroom or didn't do in Google Classroom that I'll talk about as well. So since I used it, like with students, there's actually been quite a few upgrades and changes. A lot of those coming during and right after that COVID lockdown. So this front page here is kind of like a news feed. I always describe this to people as think like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Just like this is just where all of this stuff happens. Like you get these different notifications. So unless you change your settings, anything that you do, anything you post for your students, there'll be like a little notification that pops up here. You can also leave little like presentations or information for your students here. So this is just a Google Classroom I use to show people how to use Google Classroom. If you want to have students join your class, you can do this and they can just enter that in. They'll go join that Google Classroom. And then Google Meet is built right in here, which is super nice. What did I just do? All of the action, here we go, all of the action in Google Classroom happens here on this classwork page. So you can see that's integrated with Google Calendar and a Google Drive folder. So all of your stuff is saved in Google Drive automatically. And then anything that you attach a date to gets added to Google Calendar, and then all of your students have access to that Google Calendar as well. So it automatically populates things for them, which is a nice little feature if you can teach students how to use that. Over here in this create portion, you have just these different options of how you want to organize and populate your Google Classroom with your students. So probably most common here is this assignment piece. I'm going to move myself over here. So you're required to put a title up here. Required to do this. So putting that in, then some instructions here. I always like to leave a little video here for my students. They've got this just rich text editor, which is nice. And then you can attach any sort of materials. So if you have something already made in your Google Drive, you can just grab that, toss that on here, and it attaches. And then you can right here start making some specifications or modifications to this. So do you want kids just to be able to look at it like it's under the document camera? Do you want them to be editing the same document or get their own copy? And so a kid opens it and that's just theirs. But the nice part about this is once you assign it to them, you can see it because it's all saved in Google Drive. It's all linked through Google Classroom. So they can be working on something and you can see that as they're working on it in real time. It's awesome and I love it. Or if you want to create something brand new, you have these options right here. Linking in YouTube videos is relatively new. Let's just look at that. These are just some things from my YouTube channel that we can pop in here. Just add that and it'll attach it right to that. Oops, I accidentally clicked off of it, which is a nice thing for you to have seen. Once I click off of this, it saves it in draft mode. I can come back here to the editing portion. And then over here on the right-hand side, you have some other options. We'll come back to this up here at the top, but you can attach some points to this, which will go into the feature that I never really used, but would be interested in checking out. Talking about a due date here, which will populate some things on that front page, which is super nice, just in terms of your timeline. And then topics are a way to organize your work. So maybe this is a reading assignment. So you can organize your work in Google Classroom on the Classroom page. And then if you are signed up for some of those upgraded portions, the G Suite portions here, there's a accountability or a plagiarism checker that you can enable as well. This rubric feature is super, super nice. You can create or import rubrics to make grading a little bit faster for you within, why does it keep doing that? For you within Google Classroom as well. So Up here, this is the last piece I wanted to talk about when it comes to assignments, but you can assign things to multiple classes simultaneously, which is super, super, super nice. So if I wanted to put this in any of these other classes that I am also a teacher in, boom, saved me a ton of time. I can post this a little bit later here. I can schedule this to go out at a certain time, or I can save this as a draft and come back here. And then when I'm ready to post it, I can just hit assign, and it's going to pop up there so my kids can see it immediately. Now, I didn't end up attaching a topic to it right here, but if I wanted to come down here and create a new topic, and then just click and drag this and drop that in that topic, it's a great way to organize my classroom. And you'll notice it starts making that little to-do list, so that little that's what I'm looking for, table of contents over there, and then I can rearrange those things. And it's a nice way to just organize and filter your classroom for your students. So if I wanted to see all the different people or students here in my class, I could do that. I can add guardians in there, so I can get like these automatic updates sent out to parents, which are okay here if I had their email addresses. The piece that I never really got a chance to use and would be really interested in playing around with is this grading feature in here. So you can create this grade book that's kind of contained within Google Classroom. It's a good way for students to be able to track their progress and get some data from that. Some of the upgraded versions of Google Classroom allow you to actually integrate to an SIS, like Skyward or something like that. So you actually export those grades and just you don't have to enter those twice, which is really nice. And a lot of teachers find that super helpful. Okay, that's Google Classroom. I still really prefer it to Canvas. I do like Canvas just because it's so robust. There's so many things you can do there, but I think maybe Classroom has that nostalgia factor.